Okay, report of the committees, chairperson report. Since last month's meeting, I have 2 meetings out on the road with Stark Construction, as well as with Todd, going over road work. We had some serious issues to deal with this year with subgrade issues and bad subsoils and subgrades out there. And we fixed it, we got it done. The only reason I bring that up is I think going forward, we're gonna be looking at our roads a little bit different than we have in the past 20 years. And going more, try to make the roads last longer. When you kind of try to get it done as cheap as possible, sometimes the defects show up in 5-10 years instead of 20-30 years. Do you agree with that, Todd?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so when we bid our work next year, what we'll be doing is identifying some of these weak spots. A lot of the good roads, by good roads I'm saying the ones that were just old and didn't have subsurface problems, a lot of them have been done over the years, and boy, this year we had some challenges, real good challenges.
How do you identify that? Like, I mean, as you do the pacer rating and stuff, how do you tell that? Is it just
Most of it, you have an idea, but you don't know the extent till you rip it out.
how do you get it out?
And luckily, we had a guy that was, Scott Nielsen, very involved in his projects, and he says, I live here, he said, I can't have people call me. You know, so when you peel off, we have our normal road work we were doing either a mill and overlay, take off 2 inches, put 2 inches on, and in most cases that takes care of it, but if you have problems below that, or you really gotta go down, get more, and beef up those sections that prove to be poor, okay? Another way to do it is just straight overlay, you do nothing, just overlay what you got.
So those were those sections, like Stringer's Bridge, where you cut out and then they repaved before they came through.
Before you
guys
can't
you guys put in.
So how much asphalt do we have in those poor areas?
It's anywhere between 4 and 8 inches.
So we took care of it, we don't want them coming back, you know, while we can still remember doing the job. Okay. All right, also, see on okay, that was on 5/14 and a couple other dates. And then at on 5/14, I was asked to give a town update at the LBPIA meeting, I did that. 5/16, I attended the Lakewood Manning District meeting. On 5/19, I attended the Walworth County Zoning Agency hearing on the hotel. And on 5/24, I met with Lynch and Associates to go over our BIL grant application for East Shore Road in the area of backside and culvert there. And then on 5/26, we had a monthly tri meeting, and we basically reviewed what we got accomplished, because we'll be presenting that at the intergovernmental cooperation meeting coming up in Elkhorn, I believe, next month.
Was that just a chairman's meeting?
Yep, that's the one, we meet with Derek Diaria, he's the Walworth County Economic Development guy from the county, and Mary Nicholson is on the committee also. We've been meeting for 5 years. Got a lot done, and there's still more to go. Obviously, the library agreement is the hottest one. Matter of fact, I will be forwarding a letter to you all that I just got today from Walworth County. It's basically saying that they think we're good to go on that, but we'll have to have a meeting on that before we sign the agreement with dates and all that. But it sounds like everybody is in favor of including the Lakeshore Library System. The county, Department of Public Construction, looks like we're in good shape.
And what kind of updates should that, like Lakeview Management or PIA?
As far as what?
You were
LBPIA?
asked to update.
Yeah,
what they have
LBPIA, I've been going to that one for years, where they just wanna know generally what's going on in town, just they have an update, what's going on with the roads and the buildings and stuff like that. Generally, and then it gives them a chance to ask questions too. It's usually a pretty well attended meeting, 50, 70, something.
Packs the room.
Yeah, they usually was full. So, again, that's just kind of.
Once a year
Twice, you have a spring and a fall. Matter of fact, one of the last couple of years, there was one time I was out of town, I believe you provided an update. I believe, the manager district also gives an update, and I think the police occasionally give an update too on what's going on. Normally, with LUPA, it's talking about the light patrol, is what the questions are there, so. Okay, Department of Public Works, see you got a report. Did you get the report from Todd? You say the road work is completed, you get that one driveway,
We got one driveway that's a concern yet, and I just finally got my second bid in for putting the rumble strips back in on Bell School Road, which
okay,
I wouldn't think would be as much as it actually is.
and you got the painting done within a week?
Yep, Warren County, they were after the road work was done, a week later, they were striking it. Cause they were just doing, they had just finished up a couple other townships and they knew we had fresh pavements.
I have to say, on Bell School Road, they worked like the whole weekend, like long days, so
Yeah,
that
see?
was amazing, that they were Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And they were there till like 7 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
so,
They were finishing shoulders on the weekends too, and.
Yeah.
It was.
Me personally, I mean, last year was the first year that Stark did something for us, they did Sabota Road, and I thought they did a good job. This year, they squeezed us in early, they had a big job that fell through, so we were like the next on the list, and to get it done this quick and knock on wood, with the way prices have gone up with petroleum, that, I mean, yes, we went over, but I couldn't imagine what it would be right now.
Oh, yeah, crazy,
Yeah, I mean,
still going.
yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add from your report? Looks like you've been busy.
Yep, I'm waiting on, remember we talked about earlier this year, the culvert on Beal Heights Road?
Okay.
I met with Marty Zess, he's supposed to give me a proposal for fixing that one up.
Tuck pointing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, cause I've had a couple of people call me because the pieces have actually fallen out now.
Yeah, there's some chunks missing, it's
Yeah.
a little nerve
Actually,
wracking, but.
Had Craig Webster from the DNR call me, too, so.
Okay, that's one that might be on the plate, 5-10 years from now, for replacement. Similar to the one by Dockside.
Yeah.
So, and the other two bridges, those are regular state inspected bridges every 2 years, and we never get the reports on those two. We take care of it, half of it's yours, and sometimes it's hiring a stone mason.
Yep.
I believe 1910, is that correct on those two?
Somewhere right there, yeah, they've been there a long time.
For Blue Heights and Street.
No, these
No.
are two on Bell School.
Yeah.
Here,
Oh.
and the other one is on, this,
Hill Valley.
Bell Valley.
Bell Valley.
Bell Valley. Those are over 20-foot spans, so they're official bridges, and they're inspected every 2 years.
Yeah, and those both actually have like 10-foot double culverts going through them, so they're good size, they see a lot of water.
Okay, any questions for Todd, anybody? All right, good, thank you. Okay, police report, John.
Good evening. Just a few of the highlights from the police report. Our new full-timer, Michael Condich, passed his background, physical, drug, and psych. He'll be starting on Thursday with me. And then we're going to a couple of our officers, our field training officers, over the next few months. We're excited to have him on board. The two part-timers for Bowden Road have been working out well and working a lot of shifts, getting done with their training. Two of our board officers have resigned, both for health-related reasons. I attached Officer Berzoni's resignation letter to this report. Well, the training coming up from the Waller County DA's office, I offered to host them. They're gonna be here on June 23rd. Meet with all the full-timers and part-timers that are available, to go over yearly updates Any questions that the officers may have? Water patrol's been on about, no major issues, had a couple rain days too. I think it's gonna be changing soon as we get into the 90s here. Boat launch attendants, have been working out well. We've had a lot of good suggestions on a lot of improvement, keeping the traffic flow going. Another special thanks to Todd, he replaced the side door of the launch hut that was giving us a lot of problems. So it's much more accessible now and easy for the ladies and gentlemen down there, so we appreciate his hard work. After we told him about it, it was changed in about 24, 48 hours. We appreciate it, thank you, Todd. Pier permits, working on a couple of issues, with Chairman Karkowski that he's aware of some complaints. Just specifically one area on Humphrey Lane. Rick Stacy, and soon to be Brian Paul and Gus's have all donated to our water patrol program, specifically for water, certificates or ice cream certificates. Kids specifically, if they're wearing the PFDs, positive interactions on the lake, and or the road, we are handing out ice cream certificates for them, so thanks to Rick and Brian and Gus, for the generous donation, we really appreciate it, we definitely have a giving community that supports our police department, so thankful for them. Equipment, squads are up and running, we've been running into a lot of general IT issues, when it comes to GPS or internet or printers, and the guys and myself spend hours and hours and hours, so something that's going forward, looking at how we can contract with an IT person. My caseload is pretty full, so the guys were running short staff and spending 2 hours figuring out why a printer is not working. It's not the best, so, if we can move in that direction somehow, some way, I know, I got a quote that I gave to Kim, and Kim had somebody in the other day that understands law enforcement, that might work out for the town, benefit all, so we'll talk about that either later on or in the future, so. Grants, I attached the Safer Communities grant, and gave a couple suggestions there for the next police chief. I think you could cover our wellness program as well as updated SWAT computers or IT services with the $9,000 that looks like we're gonna get from that program. I've been recognizing the officers on Facebook, skipping a few down here. They're excited about it, it gets the community to recognize them when they're out on the road or out on the water, something that hasn't been done, so we're having a lot of positive feedback, calls in my office. Citizens like that positivity on the line. A few traffic complaints we've been addressing, and Officer Medina is still working with county on the National Night Out that'll be held on August 2nd in Elkhorn. I attached the stat reports for the department and individual to each officer. I know it's kind of long, but it's nice that Pro Phoenix individualizes what each officer does over the course of the month, so printed that out.
Officer Jagelski.
Yeah.
Were you the one who completed the SAFER grant, who submitted it this year?
Chief Jensen did that.
Okay.
Any questions on
Do we wanna talk about the draft policy? I don't know if Jim has a copy of it.
It's next on the agenda.
Okay.
yeah, if you wanted to go to wellness,
But the IT concern, is that, there's not a quality to this because of it's a police department now, and I'm sure there's security issues that need to be further addressed. There are IT needs in the building in general,
Yeah, oh,
so
absolutely.
we're proposing,
Yeah, the gentleman we met with on Friday morning, just many other municipalities in Marlboro County has a lot of other experience besides that. So, he's looking like a really good possibility for us, plus he was cheaper hourly rate than a couple of the other quotes we got.
so you're looking for a fee for service this year. Future
Yeah.
meeting.
We have money budgeted for IT stuff anyway, just, regular maintenance stuff, but this guy, I mean, you felt like he could deal with a lot of your stuff too.
Yeah, so we can work with another law enforcement agency, just to be that light. It was 2.5 hours on the phone with tracks the other day, and I'm the only car working, and I have to hang up to go to a call, and we don't get the address where we need to, we need that.
He drives by here twice a day too, so he would be really quick turnaround for, currently we have a delayed turnaround for service. You know, if something goes down for them, it takes a while to get service. So, the gentleman that came in on Friday, like I said, he drives by here twice a day, he said within 24 hours, he would address issues.
And he's
On
seeming,
site.
he's seeming like a one-stop shop, so to speak, for our
Yeah.
department's equipment and what we need to take care of in our building.
Yeah,
And this is, you know, is this on there?
it's not noticed, it would be, because he only came in on Friday morning, he
Oh,
didn't have a
sure.
chance to get it, so I was thinking July, we would get all our stuff together and then
Is
give it to
this-
the board, so you guys can look at our stuff.
If he could get, it sounds to me as though, and I know that we've had discussions on this before, and I'd like to see some things sooner than later. And some, a bunch of big questions answered as far as security and all that other stuff, so I mean, if we could
Actually-
even.
Jean has been going through some stuff with her email, and John added her as an administrator, and the administrator cannot look at anybody else's emails.
Okay.
The
And
capability isn't even there.
other
Yeah,
things.
but that, I knew that was one of your concerns.
That was one of my big
Yeah.
concerns, yeah, just to make sure that everybody's,
No.
everything's in check, but.
And
Is
have-
this something we could do, or if we talk to this gentleman, we get this quote, is something we could do on one of our other special meetings,
yeah,
so that we can
yeah.
so we can address this faster, give you more time to do your
Yeah.
job and not do
Yeah.
my job.
Hand off the admin rack space to.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This needs
The
to
sooner
be-
the better.
Yeah. like-
Well, and I think in the communications committee, we have some questions too, you know, if we're talking about, potentially posting audio or video, it will be
And
like
he
a
can do all
YouTube
that.
page.
He told us
link
that
to-
smart boards are becoming obsolete. He said our best bet is to get it like a 70-inch screen, and then hit the laptop. Yeah,
We have.
and he can do that stuff for us. And he would be able to service it, set it up. He also spoke specifically about having us a guest network, where like if someone comes to planning commission, they could sign into the guest network instead of our town secured network. He
Lot of
looked at our stuff and he could tell exactly why her computer's so slow. I mean, with just looking at the equipment we have, I mean, he knew his stuff.
Our phones.
Yeah,
Those
phones
are
and
the
stuff,
phones, things
he
like
did,
that.
there's a lot.
If we could, I'd like to try to see this, I mean, if you have a correspondence with this gentleman, to see if we can get his on meeting as soon as possible.
Oh, and he would be willing to come and
That'd be great.
discuss things with you guys too.
He came very highly recommended for
Yeah.
the town of Darien. I'm looking at interviewing him for IT for the fire district as well, because taking our paid chiefs off road or out of service so that they can deal with computer issues is just not effective or a good use.
This
of
day and
our
age, we need
time.
IT department, that's just the way it goes, you know?
Exactly.
That people have other jobs to do.
And someone very responsive.
And again, he said he can respond to us within 24 to 48 hours, they're a Monday through Friday operation. However, I said, we are a 24/7 police department, and he said they will accommodate that they have free tax, including himself. Whereas currently, it might be 3 days before we hear back.
Are we looking at more than one option?
Yeah, John has contacted somebody, the one I've contacted, and then,
And then the one that John actually reached out to, that was more just a PD focus one, it wasn't for the whole township, whereas the guy that came on Friday from the company, he looked at everything. He looked at our needs up in the courtroom, he looked at our needs in here, he looked at our needs in the police department, in our offices, and so he was very comprehensive in what he looked at. John's person is also highly recommended by other departments, but we haven't had him in to do that. But we've also got the recommendation from a municipality that utilizes them from both police and town
We're
business.
getting a little off track here.
very off track, sorry.
Active wellness program, yes.
Yes.
So Attorney Jim, I know I looked at, the policy. As you guys briefed it previously, first responder psychological services is located in Dallaston, it's right outside of Waukesha. A lot of area departments are having local psychological services available to their officers. This started in Milwaukee, and one of the first municipalities was Hampton Corners, because in the past couple of years, they had 2 suicides of officers. And suicide rate among officers, issues with officers, everybody goes through things in their life, and then they come to work and they deal with 8 to 16 hours of everybody else's problems, and it's the compound things. And offering those services to at least get them in the door, to talk about what's going on in a private setting that's confidential, that no supervisors hear about, I think is something we owe to our officers and the staff here. So that's why I put together this policy and reached out to them, actually, in one of their presentations. They are in multiple different communities, and what I'm proposing is the first initial assessment, when they meet with a clinician, we cover that cost for $150. There's only a few of us full-timers who are working. After that, if they wanna go, which opens the door to counseling and meeting with somebody, the rest could either be covered by insurance or they foot the bill. But we as a department, the town will cover that first session. They're also available if a major incident happens, an officer struggling with something, they're a phone call away 24/7, where they could come in. They're part of City of Waukesha's department. City of Waukesha has a contract with them. They actually came and grilled out with them before their first parade after the Christmas attack, just as a, hey, how's everybody doing? So they will often stop in, we'll stop and have lunch with the guys at departments, just kind of a check-in, and that they do for free. I think it's a neat program. Everybody that works there is somehow related to law enforcement or public service, a wife, sister, brother, some chaplains. They come highly recommended by several areas.
Do you know what the clinicians are educationally?
I do, not off the top of my head, I do have a printout. I mean, some are psychologists, some are chaplains, some have maybe lesser or higher degrees. It's quite a mix. There's about 8 of them that rotate through, and you'll be assigned to whoever's available, but some male officers may want to meet with a male, or vice versa. Some may feel more comfortable with meeting with a chaplain over a psychologist. A wide variety that they offer.
So it sounds to me like they do not diagnose nor treat. This is a
Correct.
screening program.
And not so much screening as it opens the door to vent, to talk, suggestions, how to relieve stress, anxiety, work through maybe work issues, personal issues. It is not a fitness for duty by any means. They can report back to me. The fitness for duty is still with the psychology center that we contract through, and the full-time guys are hired, or gals, in Chicago. And that's fitness for duty, completely different. That's a full exam. This is confidential. I can't tell when the officers go or when or where, to what location. They will only report back to me because based off our policy, at the end of the year, if an officer didn't go, they will say, this officer didn't reach out to us. How would you like to address it? But everything is confidential. And if Kim would get the bill, it would be addressed by a number system. So she wouldn't even know who went when or where.
Why can't they bill insurance? I mean, most of these are covered by every insurance company I'm aware of.
Yeah, they had, issues dealing with certain insurance companies, and they didn't wanna get into the mix for the initial, assessment.
I'm sorry, currently we have 4 officers using 3 different insurance companies.
And I think they just dealt with a wide range of offices from what I'm hearing is, they were getting too much into the billing focus, and the guys were like, cover it, not cover it, why would you know?
To that end, I just wondered, it does say that staff members may provide a proof of wellness visit at their own counseling service of choice. would we wanna put a limit of the same negotiated price that we have with this first responder psychological? In section 3 on page 2. I mean, if they pick someone that's $500, this says we would cover that.
Well, with everybody there, the session's 150 for the initial.
Right, if they go to first responders, but the
Okay.
policy says they can go to a certified counselor of their choice and submit an expense reimbursement.
Does
I
that,
thought
Well, I see what you're saying.
Of his or her choosing in section 3.
If you want me to add a dollar limit,
I would think that would be appropriate.
The second paragraph though, it does say though, follow appointments during officers or employees off-duty time are authorized, but will be in unpaid status, that has to do with the hours. Correct, not to do with services, the services has its cost schedule.
Oh, I thought I saw, no, right below there, it says staff will be compensated for their time and their annual visit in paragraph 2 of procedures.
That's the,
But that's just
that's,
like that initial
that's
one,
that
that's just
initial,
for the one and.
the one that's mandatory.
I think that's what we're dealing with today is the initial, and normally we don't get into approving, general orders or policy. The police department just has a price tag attached, that's why John is asking for specifically for the $600 to cover the initial cost for the first year, so I guess that's all we're really approving there.
procedure, second paragraph, last sentence. First Responder Psychological Services LLC is the only vendor approved for direct payment from us.
Right, but it says they can submit an expense report to be reimbursed if they go to their own counselor of choice in the first paragraph. Yes, they're the only ones set up as a vendor for the town of East Troy for Kim to pay direct and anonymously.
Which brings me back to Jake's point, is this benefit not part of their current health insurance? And do their current health insurances have the employee assistance programs? This is typically what.
I cannot tell you off the top of my head. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, this company specifically deals with first responders.
I think whatever motion is going to be made, if one is made, has to, one, limit the expense for the initial visit to $150 or less if the, whatever amounts are not covered by insurance.
The thing about this is it's all anonymous, we're not gonna know, we're gonna only know by number, so we wouldn't know which person. If we follow this procedure, you know what I mean, with the insurance.
and that's part of the anonymous too. If this officer went this time, here's this 150 amount billed from the insurance, and if Kim gets, then the anonymous part goes away, which I think to get the officers in the door. And this was brought up in a staff meeting, the union agrees, the officers wanted to participate.
I think it's the subsequent visits that are really in question, right?
Definitely.
So to remain anonymous, unless they go here, you will know who went outside.
Correct.
Well, and if they're submitting expense, we want to.
Which defeats the purpose.
John, in your write-up, you're telling us that we're going to use this, grant, Safer Communities grant to pay for year one. Could we pilot year one and see if it's liked by the officers, if the building worked well? And just get a feel for it as opposed to making a long-term commitment on the front end and say, well, let's give it 1 year to see how that goes.
Yes, that's fine. I mean, again, with that Safer Communities, we, if you guys were to approve that, we could use the $600, $9,000, so we know.
Well, it has a way of growing here too, if an officer has issues or wants to have additional sessions, there could be greater expenses.
You know, highly, as that goes up the food chain, it's more likely that it will be covered by the
The
health insurance policy.
employee assistance program.
Well, the request is, what John presented, June 10th, which just talks about the $600. I don't think we should go beyond that today. I think, getting this going and started, it's been requested, we all thought it was a good idea. I think we should, move on that. And
So you're not going on the new officers, not going, just the 4 current
Correct.
full-time
For
officers.
the time being, he has a site now in Chicago, and so we can wait on him until end of the year. But it gets them in the door to talk, opens, again, it's not looking to foot a major bill, everything after that, again, they can come down the road or the insurance.
And I know you did mention originally when you brought this up to us that, you know, this is something that usually, it takes a little while to take hold, or maybe, you know, it takes a little bit for someone to open up if that's what they wanna do, so, you know, this, at first, it's a little hesitant, which I think I can understand, but as it goes, it progresses, they may be able to utilize those services.
And that's why there's a policy, instead of posting a number on the board, it gets the flow going and, just opens that dialogue. As we grow into our department and call volume increases in seriousness, you don't want to deal with issues that we could have prevented.
Right,
And,
I like the proactiveness of this program. And I think that there's a need for it.
all right, so we're not dealing specifically with the policy. You heard the concerns and you'll look at that. Your request is for the $600 per year.
Out of the safer funds.
Wherever. I mean, that's,
Whether it can be, if it can be great, but if not, I think we should,
I agree.
we could cover $600, I think it's important.
It certainly seemed like in the grant write-up, it was an allowable expense.
Sure, yep, for mental health awareness and programs.
okay,
I'll make a motion that, we authorize, a pilot program for, no greater than 2 years for the first responder psychological services initial therapy assessment for police officers in town of Detroit Police Department. At which time we would then look to evaluate, year 3, the continuation of the program.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Ty, Barbara. Your ears closer.
Just a minute.
All right,
Get
any
it.
further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
I did. Were we going to set the $600 price tag?
He said that.
Oh, did he?
Yes,
Keep that.
initial.
Sorry.